Willkommen, bienvenue. Welcome once again to another Portfolio Executive podcast with myself, Gareth Wax, and of course, my bosom pal, Valerie Merrill, over there in the other virtual corner. But today we have a returning special guest, Rhonda Bowen. This time in her guise as founder of the Midwise Alliance. And I guess, yet again, she's going to be twisting my noodle, talking about a topic that I know very little about, which is a mixture of why Midwise Alliance and what in tarnation is an e-resident of Estonia, because these are all new topics to me. So let's get into it. So let's start at the top, Rhonda, especially I suppose with relevance to the portfolio executive community. What is the Midwise Alliance in one sentence?
Okay. The Midwise Alliance is the place that I am in the process of founding and putting out into the world where the middle of society, all of us sitting here in the room, plus all of you listening, are what I consider the middle of society. We are not the people who are up at the end of hyper whatever that everybody knows about from the media. We're not all the poor people who are living in a country that has just had a natural catastrophe. They're on the other end of the spectrum. Those are the extremes in the world. We're the middle of society. And unfortunately, we're not in the media. People aren't finding out what it is that we're doing. People don't know how much wisdom we bring to the world because there's no place for this to live. And therefore, the Midwise Alliance is a place for the middle of society to come together to share their wisdom and to co create the solutions and the innovations our world needs today with a combination of natural, human, and artificial intelligence.
Val, is it fair to say we Brits would probably refer to that as the middle classes?
Oh, well, we might refer to it as Middle England, mightn't we?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So the ones that, are not having to well, they're working, but they're going about their own business in a nice, quiet way. I think, Rhonda, that your purpose is elevating the wisdom of that middle society, and with that in mind then, why do you think it's quite so urgent right now?
Well, there are people who are talking in the US, for example, where I'm originally from, of the tyranny of the fringe. So the things that are happening on the edges of American society, which are overtaking everything that's happening in American society
Oh,
and
yes.
putting things far, far away from what all of us who, as I believe, really are the foundation, the basis of society, is the people in the middle, because you don't have ends if you don't have a middle. But the middle is where everything actually lives and where most of the world's things happen and take place and interactions happen. But if nobody's paying attention to that, look at all of the wonderful things that we're missing just because nobody knows. And nobody has the chance to share those things. And nobody has the opportunity to say, oh, I've really learned something from this. And let me tell you one of the reasons why this started. Many years ago, I was talking to a young lady I was coaching, and she was so knowledgeable in so many different things. And one day we started talking about sewing. While I was growing up until I was 18, I sewed all of my clothes myself. So it was something I knew a lot more about than a lot of people. And this woman was telling me such deep and wonderful things about sewing. And this had nothing to do with her job. And I said, you should go on a podcast and you should talk about all the things you know about sewing because you know so much stuff. And there's so many people who would benefit if you had the chance to talk to people. And she said, Rhonda, I could never go on a podcast. I said, "Well, why not? You know all these wonderful things." She said, "But what if they asked me a question I couldn't answer?" And that's why the Midwise Alliance
That's
is
when they become a politician.
yeah. Well, and that's why the Midwise Alliance is going to have what I'm calling a reverse podcast. It's got a name, it's called Volcurion, but it lets people like this lady come on and ask me the questions because then she's in control of what happens. And of course, would throw the question back and she could say all her wonderful things about sewing, but she doesn't have to worry about talking about things she doesn't know about because she will be in control of the conversation and not me. All these ways to bring out this wisdom that those people would never ever share in public, but look
Mm.
how much we can all benefit. And there needs to be a platform where people can not only share their ideas, that's part of the alliance. There are 6 different parts of the alliance. There will be a way for people to monetize things on the alliance. There will be a search functionality for people. Oh, I need somebody to help me with this. A lot of what we're
Right.
doing with portfolio executives. I need this kind of help. This person has this kind of expertise. We will have a searching platform for people to get together. We will have a platform, which is what we're doing today, which is co-creating new solutions and innovations for people by sitting down and talking together about things and making sure that what comes out is what I call whisperation in action. Everybody comes to the room with wisdom or comes looking for wisdom, whichever.
Mm. Mm.
Then we have a nice discussion and we all learn new things. And then we become inspired. And then we go out and take action on it. And co-creating these wonderful new things that happens in a place where everyone comes together, where things work in an equitable way, where there are facilitated conversations as we're having today. And that's exactly what a lot of portfolio executives are being asked to do, especially if they're coming into a situation where there's chaos in the company, where something greatly has gone wrong, where somebody is now missing and there's a gap that has to be filled. All of those kind of things mean that that wisdom that is coming from a portfolio executive is exactly what that company needs in that moment, and I think the world in this moment needs the Midwise Alliance.
What I want to know is, I mean, look, you're an American, you are settled in Germany, and now you
Mhm.
decide to set up a company in Estonia. What's going on?
Woo!
Well, the nice thing about the world now, and I had had my company for 30 years, and then I said, I don't want to be traveling for 3 days to Australia anymore, which is what I used to do for my job, among other things. And I decided to move all of my business online, which at my age was a huge jump. And it was before the pandemic. And that was nice because when the pandemic came, I was already positioned and could help
Uh,
my clients because they were also positioned as well. Because I had said, no, I'm not coming to see you anymore. We're doing everything online. But the nice thing about being online now, and that we've all been practicing this since the pandemic, is that we understand that companies don't have to be in one place anymore. My team is in the Philippines, is in Kenya, and is in South Africa. We've only all ever seen each other once ever in person, but we work together all the time, and I've been working with my CTO for over 5 years now. So, doing things online globally is something that a lot of us know about, but if you want to start a new company, as I'm doing now with the Alliance, the best way, in my opinion, to do that is to become what is called an e-resident of Estonia, which means I am now not only an American citizen with an American passport, I am not only a permanent resident of Germany with a German residency permit, I am now an e-resident of Estonia. And what that means is I have put in an application. They've checked to make sure I'm not part of the mafia or something. And I have gone and picked up an ID card that says yes. And I get the chance now to log in to all of the government offices because nothing in Estonia has to take place in person. Everything is digital, everything. So I have access to everything in the Estonian government now. And reason that's important is I can now set up a company in Estonia without being there. And it's not for me. I could set up a company anywhere. I already have my company in Germany that I've had for 38 years. I want everybody who wants to be part of this company to be able to be that. And each of you and any of you listening, if you decided you would like to be part of the Midwise Alliance and you would like to be a director or the CFO or whatever you would like to be, you could actually go and make your application to the Estonian government. And then you could come in and digitally sign the contract and you would be part of this company. And this is for anybody, anywhere in the world, no matter who you are, no matter where you live, no matter what you do. Everybody has the same opportunity. Estonia has been doing this since 2014.
Wow.
There are 3 million people living in Estonia, in the country, and there are over 10,000 e-companies all over the world.
So they were way ahead of the curve.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. So from a mission-led platform like Midwise, what does being able to set up a non-geographically limited company mean?
Well, for me, it means that, as I said, if we're trying to find the wisdom of the middle of society, I was on a call last night, for example. Everybody in the room was African except me. And I'm often in situations where I'm the person who's not from whatever the place is. But I was invited by an African citizen to come and join this group. And of course, the insights that I brought were very, very different to the ones that all the other folks in the room had because they were all African living on the African continent and therefore had a very different view of things.
Yeah.
Isn't what we need in the world to make sure that we get as many different views together as possible? I mean, something that the United Nations and the World Bank and lots of wonderful organizations are global, and that's great. But what about an organization for us? That's what I'm looking to make sure that all of us who just have something we want to put out in the world, we've started with a blog. We've had wonderful people from all over the world already contribute, and people can just go in and say what they're talking about. And because the basis is that we're looking at how natural intelligence, so things from outside, from animals, from plants, whatever, from human intelligence, which we all know about because of what we're doing here, but also from artificial intelligence, how do we bring those 3 kinds of
That was my
intelligence
next
together?
question.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, the 2 most feared letters of the English language right now are
Yeah,
A and I,
yeah.
and almost nobody knows what the hell it is. They use it to apply to almost anything, right from Google search all the way through to designing the best way of building a porch. It seems to throw this one-size-fits-all notion at it. Where does AI fit into the Midwise Alliance?
Well, the AI is so important because, I've been fortunate the last 2 years, and will be going this year as well, to the United Nations AI for Good Summit in Geneva, Switzerland. And that's where the AI world meets in lots of places, but this is the official place where the AI world has been meeting for 10 years now. And where people come together to show what is happening and how things are improving with AI, but also where there's things about governments and ethics and compliance about how AI should be being used. And the important thing about AI is many people are very afraid of AI or they've heard about it and say, yeah, but I don't really get it. It's what always happens. Humans have this wonderful way of taking what the world has for us, nature, and putting it into doing something else. And I mean, if we go way back, fire. You know, when people started having fire and could say, "Oh, it's not just lightning from the sky, we actually can do something with it." There are always the 2 options. You know, there's a law of polarity in the world. There's fire can keep us warm, and we can all sit around the campfire and have a great time and feel good, or fire can burn down the building we're in, and then it's destruction and everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
Everything in the world has 2 sides. And everything in the world, for example, the internet. Most of us, I assume, who are listening to this, we will all remember a time when there was no internet. I remember that time very well. And recently somebody said something to me about AI and they said, "Oh, Rhonda, well, we can't be doing stuff with AI." I said, "Well, you use the internet, right?" "Oh, yeah, Rhonda, I couldn't live without the internet." And I said, "Well, what about the dark net?" "Oh, I have nothing to do with the dark net." I said, "I've been in the dark net 3 times. I have a system that monitors whether my name is coming up in the dark net. It has. I have no idea how to get into the dark net, but somebody else has put me in the dark net, and that's a problem." I said, "But I'm not stopping using the internet just because somebody got my password to something and put me in the dark net. I found
Yeah,
ways to get out. It's okay. There's the good side and there's the bad side." And the
yeah.
UN conference, AI for good. There's a lot more good the negative, but of course, everybody's focusing, as we always do as humans, on the negative and not looking at all the positive. And the alliance is going to show that if we bring these 3 kinds of things together, we can go so far beyond the solutions that we need if we just sit down as a little group of people and try to figure it out by ourselves.
I've got a question, and this sort of worries me about the setting up of any company, but even more so one that has not got no real fixed abode of anything other than virtually. Compliance.
Hmm.
Requirements of compliance vary massively depending on where you are geopolitically in the world.
Hmm.
How do you manage that in an e-company?
Well, the e-company, because it's registered in Estonia, of course, has to play by the rules of the Estonian government. First of all, because it's an Estonian company.
Okay.
Mm,
And because Estonia is part of the EU, it also has to play according to the rules of the European Union. So those parts of compliance are automatic. And of course, it will be up to me and all the other nice people. As I said, we're co creating this to decide what is important for us and how we make sure that things like compliance work. And the thing that we know from the beginning that we're doing as far as the financials go is the payment system on the alliance is going to be tokenized, as you have with AI. You know, you
What,
use something.
do you mean using blockchain or not?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be blockchain, but when you pay for things in tokens, when you use certain kinds of AI platforms
Yeah,
online, every
yeah,
time you use a certain amount of things, it costs
yeah,
you X amount of money.
yeah.
Everything that's going to be on the alliance, no matter who is selling what, no matter whether it's a product or a service or anything else, everything is going to be sold via tokens,
Right.
and tokens will not cost the same for each person. So the
Oh,
World Bank divides the world into 4 regions. And those of us in this room all live in region 1. So we are the people who have the most financial means to buy things and to do things in the world. But there are 4 tiers or 4 levels of this. And so if you and I would buy a token, it would cost us $1 just as an example. There could be a level for 60 cents, and then a level for 40 cents, and then a level for 20 cents, for
right,
example. And people in level 4 will buy 100 tokens and pay 20, and we will buy 100 tokens and pay 100.
right.
And the whole point is it's a fair and equitable way to be doing that, because what about all those people in the world, like one of my colleagues who's a wonderful professor in Nepal, and we were in an American program, and he said, "Can't you ask the people in America, Rhonda, to give us a discount because I can't afford to pay for this?" And I said, "Nobody in the world should ever be part of something where they can't participate because they can't afford to pay for it." And that's why the alliance is going to have things on 4 different levels. On the outside, it will all look the same. We all buy 100 tokens, whatever it is.
Yep,
But people will be paying according to their ability to pay. And that's so much of what's happening also in the portfolio executive world. You don't need to have somebody coming in and sitting there 40 hours a week to do
correct.
something.
Yep,
You have certain thing that people need to be doing. You have a certain job, it takes a certain amount of time or a certain amount of outcomes that you're looking for at the end, and you pay people proportionately.
sure.
So the Midwise Alliance will be for everybody in the world to be paying what's fair to them, and all of the people who will be getting that money back, a proportion of that will go back to the alliance as a commission so that we can continue to work as a company. And otherwise, everything that people sell on the alliance will be going to them. But you know that if you sell something to Valerie, you're going to get more money out of it than if you sell to some my friend who's in Nepal, for example. And so this means that having that balance of things will make it so much easier for everybody to be involved, because at the moment there are many places in the world where not everybody can be
Yes,
involved.
that's right.
Yeah.
It brings equality and democracy to it.
I'm
Yes.
all for that. Let's to round this up. I've got one last question for you.
Yes.
If listeners to this podcast take one thing away from this, what is the real lesson from building Midwise as an Estonian e-company?
The real lesson is, first of all, you don't have to be young to be doing things. And I know a lot of portfolio executives come into the world and do whatever their corporate things are they do for many, many years. And then they go on this journey of doing things as a portfolio executive. I didn't have that corporate background. I've had my own business for 38 years. So I am still, though, at the point where I was speaking to a young man from Africa the other day, and he said, "You are 67 years old and you're setting up an e-company?" And I said, "Yes." And he was so surprised. He said, "Everybody here who's your age is they're all going into retirement." And I
Yeah.
said, "You know, the world is different now." And
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had these opportunities when I set up my company 38 years ago, but I now have this opportunity to set up a new company. For all of you who are portfolio executives or want to become one, don't let anybody tell you that you can't take all of that wonderful wisdom, all of that experience you have, all the expertise you bring to the table, and create something very new for yourself, for the clients, the people who
Yep.
hire you, for all of those people who can benefit so much from what it is that you are bringing to the world. And this is just one way of doing that. Being a portfolio executive is a wonderful way to do that because you are sharing what only you can share, and you are doing it in a way that really fits to the situation of the companies you're working for.
Wow. As ever, Rhonda, my noodle is firmly twisted. Would you sum up for me, Val?
Well, I think listening to Rhonda has been extremely insightful. Obviously, as a portfolio executive myself and in the group, I think we learn so much from each other. But I think your initiative with Midwise is um, heartwarming and very exciting, innovative. And also for me, your knowledge and that global reach you have, particularly now having the e-company, that is just so on message. It's so out there. It's so on the edge. It's so state of the art. I mean, I'm absolutely blown away. So thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you for having me. It's been
Uh,
wonderful.
It's been an absolute pleasure, eye-opening as ever. So, Rhonda, thank you so much for taking part in this. I want to thank all of you for listening, for sticking with us. Plenty more to come. We've got other members of Portfolio Executive due to appear on this podcast. We're talking about all sorts of topics, which we hope will mean something relevant to all of you. But until next time, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, and please try and look after your mental health. Bye-bye now.